Hello everyone, and welcome to this STEM webinar by Henry Stewart Events, The Power of Linking Assets in Adobe Creative Cloud, sponsored by CI Hub. We're delighted to see so many DAM professionals registered with us today. Just a few housekeeping points before we get started. We will take questions throughout the webinar, so please do send them through on the chat function on your GoToWebinar panel. And we are recording today's webinar, and we'll be sending you a link to the recording later. Now it's my great pleasure to welcome today's presenter, Gerd Glaser from CI Hub. Thanks for joining us, Gerd, and over to you.
Thanks, Jeanette, for the intro, and thanks for organizing this event, and welcome to all of you. So Andreas Michalski is currently traveling, so he cannot attend today, but I have Jörg Seidler with me. He is one of the founders of the CI Hub, and he will help me to answer your questions at the end of this presentation. So I would like to introduce myself briefly. My name is Gerd Glaser. I've been working in the agency, in web to print, and in the DAM business for nearly 25 years. So this in turn implies that I'm older than 25, and indeed I am. I've worked as managing director, key account manager, and consulting director for advertising agencies and IT service providers. So it's my pleasure to walk you through our presentation today. And so I will switch off the camera so that you can see my screen. Here we go. So first is, what is the content today? It's a short introduction. What is the CI Hub connector? Then we will have some stuff. What was the basic idea behind linking assets? How does linking assets work in the DAM environment? Then linking assets with CI Hub. And I will give you a functional overview and a live demo. And at the end, I will try to answer your questions together with Jörg Seidler. So what is the CI Hub connector? I think this short video describes it quite well. So it's all about images, videos, assets in general, stored all over the place in PIM and DAM systems or in cloud storages. And the main thing is that a lot of creatives struggle to handle all these assets, and this is the reason why we built this plugin. The reason is we want to empower creative minds to work smarter. And work smarter, what does that mean? Researchers found that we check emails 74 times per day, and that we switch tasks on our computer 566 times per day. And at the end, this results in an enormous loss of creativity. And let's have a look at this example, which I've prepared for you, where you can see how the daily business is by just creating a simple document like this. It's an image, it's a copyright, and it's a name and some copy text. And I will show the time spent on these tasks. And at first, I would like to show how it works in the outdated way. So that means you have to log on to your DAM system or to your PIM system or whatever storage system. You search for the assets, and you have to decide which asset you have to use because there are more versions in it. Let's have a look at it. This is not the one I want to have because there is the wrong background. This is the one I would like to use in my document. So the next step is I will download the file. And yeah, this is a Photoshop file, and we don't use it normally in a document like a PowerPoint document or in a Google Sheet or something like that. So the user has to open it in Photoshop, has to flatten the image and create a JPEG out of it so that it can be used in the document. You have to manage your folders and your assets after the download. Store it as a JPEG. That's it. And back to our slide. Now we can place the image, select the placeholder, place the image from the computer. And now I would like to add the copyright. So I have to switch back to my DAM system, copy the text, paste the text in it. And the same goes for the headline, switch windows, copy and paste it into my document. And the same goes for the copy text. So now we're done. And this took me about 2.5 minutes. And it's just one asset and a simple text. And if we do it the CI Hub way, it's with the panel, just search for the asset, select it. You can choose a rendition, let's say a JPEG for PowerPoint. Just drag it onto the stage and it will be placed. And the same goes for the metadata content. Just grab the copyright, grab the headline, and grab the copy text and just move it onto the stage. That's it. So this takes me 30 seconds, 34 seconds. And indeed, this is a really huge time saver. I'm 4 times faster. So at the end, we have today's topic, the power of linking assets. And what was the basic idea behind linking the assets? We want to use a centralized asset in various output channels. We want to have the latest version when an asset has been updated. It reduces the file size of documents. You can store the assets in the widest color space and in the highest resolution. And you can set color space, resolution, ICC profiles, etc. during the rendering process. It saves a lot of storage space and it allows multiple teams to use the same asset. So that was the basic idea behind linking assets. And with questions, does linking assets work as intended in the DAM environment? So let's have a look at the usual DAM environment. We have a DAM where all the assets are stored. Perhaps there's a PIM included, which contains all the product information. We have a content delivery network, and let's say it's Akamai or CloudFront to deliver all these images for those different channels, web shops, websites, or whatever channels it may be. And it works perfect because if an asset is updated in the DAM triggers an event and the CDN gets triggered and the web shop receives the updated assets. So this is all good. It works perfect as long as the end user is a machine. But sometimes there is a little problem that shows up. These are the guys in the marketing department. So marketing has to create a brochure, a flyer, or an ad, or whatever document, and he has to use the assets from the DAM. So he logs on to the DAM and he has to download the asset to start his design process. So at the end, the job is done, the brochure is ready to produce, and he hands it over to production. But that means the production artist needs the assets physically available. And this is a must because Creative Cloud apps don't work with URL links. So he needs the assets physically available to produce a high-res PDF and to hand it over to the print service provider. And there is the social media department. They have to create a post or banner or whatever. So it doesn't matter what they produce, but they need to have the assets also locally available. They want to use these files in Photoshop, Premiere Pro, or in After Effects. And he has to download the asset. So there is another guy who wants to use the assets. That's the sales manager. He has to create PowerPoint or a Google slide and he needs the asset. So he has to download it again. But in this case, it's a PSD file and it doesn't work in PowerPoint. So he asks the marketing guy, could you please create a low-res file? He will do so, sends the asset over. And there's the category manager, does the same job. He wants to prepare the next rollout and he needs another asset to complete his Excel sheet, download, and then, oh, it's a 45 megabyte TIFF file, doesn't work in my Excel sheet. I'm going to ask the sales manager, and he says, come on, ask the marketing guys. And yeah, marketing starts cursing, but that doesn't help. So he has to provide another person with assets. So at the end, we created lots of traffic, sent emails, had some phone calls, and we have lots of assets scattered in many places. So far, so bad. But while production is in full swing, the asset is updated. So that works perfect in the system environment. But what about the locally stored assets? So there is no way the assets are in a closed loop. And to make things worse, the DAM is in this case no longer the single source of truth. And sometimes there are questions like, can I use this video for the campaign in Europe? Or do we have to check the up-to-dateness of the images before production? Or I need a previous version of a PowerPoint? How can I get this? Where do I find this? And the category manager asks, what about the digital rights of these images I'm going to send out? At the end, linking assets doesn't work as extended. So it doesn't work as intended in the DAM environment when there are people involved, creatives involved. But this is where CI Hub comes into the game. And we ask ourselves, what would it be a perfect solution to level up the DAM environments? Or how do we get a better result in the return on investment for the DAM owner? How can we enable business units to work smarter regardless of the used application? And this came up. We need a simple user interface that works in all apps and connects to the leading systems. It should be easy to install, easy to maintain, and easy to use. But it should have dumb functionality. So it needs access to the DAM or PIM or cloud storage system. And it should work within my application, regardless if it's Adobe Photoshop, if it's Figma, Sketch, or a Google slide, or if it's a PowerPoint from Office 365. And the dump functionality, it should connect simultaneously systems, source systems, target systems. We should navigate folders and collections. We want to have a full text search. We want to have a similarity search for stock providers. And we want to filter assets by asset type. We want to filter by keywords. And we want to have a list view, a tile view. We want to have different preview sizes. We want to upload new assets and check in new versions. And we want to access metadata. And on the other hand, we want to retrieve stuff from DAM, PIM, or cloud storage systems. And how's it working with the link? We should work with images, text, docs, and artwork, and we should link them to the document. The same goes for video and audio files. And we should have the opportunity to update those files within my application, and I want to have it on demand. So if it goes out to production, I want to check if everything is approved and ready to go. In addition for that, we would say, why not having a page preview for InDesign documents? Why not having renditions to work with low-res and high-res files? Why not work with versions where I can go back to former versions or ensure to have only the latest versions? And why not using metadata from an image like IPTC or from the PIM system, which is connected to the DAM system? And I would like to replace all instances of an image with just one click. I want to check the digital rights of all my assets that I am using. And I will have the ability to work with identical file names. I want to have a URL and I want to have the path. Everything stored in this simple interface. And that's where the CI Hub plugin comes into the game. Everything what you can see here works in this little plugin, and it works in all Adobe applications. It works in Sketch, Figma, Google Workspace, and it works in the Adobe Office environment. So this is one interface to access all leading systems with your favorite applications. And if it's InDesign, or if it is a PowerPoint solution, if it is a Google Docs document, or if it's Figma and Sketch, you always have the same interface, the same way of working, the same way of placing assets, linking assets into your documents, and work with text and metadata. So one interface to access creative content for everyone and from everywhere. And that's why I've prepared a feature list of the CI Hub connector, and I would like to
linking assets, finding assets in your connected systems, moving assets from one source system to another, upload assets from your local machine into a connected system, move embedded assets into your connected system, switch between high-res and low-res files, use URL linking to the system of your choice. So let's have a look at the interface. I have an InDesign document, and as you can see, the used assets are stored in various source systems. So there is the Widen system. Some assets are coming from Unsplash. Some are from Dropbox. One asset is stored on my local machine, and another one is embedded. You can identify the source system by the logos in front of the file name. And I'm checking the links from the Widen perspective. That means the Widen system is currently selected. The icons in the first row are for bulk operations. So you can check the status of all linked assets. You can relink one file. It's because of Widen is actually connected. You can add two files to the Widen system. You can check the rights of all linked assets. You can see that a file is locally not available. You can see that a file is locally missing and not available in your connected system. This file is locally available. This one is embedded in the InDesign document. You can add your locally stored image to the connected system. You can add your embedded image into the connected system. And the arrow on the left-hand side opens the asset detail, including the existing versions. And this is the link panel from Adobe InDesign. It's less information, less features. As I said before, this is the view if I'm connected to a Widen system. Now, please watch the icons on the right-hand side whilst I'm changing the connected system. This is Unsplash as source system. This is Dropbox as source system. And I will repeat it. Unsplash, Dropbox, and here we go. My first use case, I received an InDesign package with images. So I want to know if there are assets already in my source system. I am connected to my OneDrive, and I can see that all assets are not available in the OneDrive. Let's connect to my Pixelbox DAM system. It's the same result. And let's connect to Dropbox. And you can see that the 6 assets with the blue plus icon are not available in Dropbox, but the gray ones are. So how do I get this result? It's easy. Just tap the check status button in the bulk operation row. That's all. So normally I would have a look at each asset and its file name and do a search in my DAM, PIM, or cloud storage system. So this takes an hour. With the CI Hub connector, it is done within seconds. I tap the Add File button in the bulk operation row, and the files will be automatically uploaded. So we're done. The next step is to relink the assets that are already in my Dropbox. And here I'm going to relink the assets I've just uploaded. This is the way to disconnect your local assets and connect to your Dropbox assets. And as you can see, all assets have the Dropbox icon in front of the file name. And please keep in mind, we have also checked if there is a newer version of each asset available. In our case, we're good. Otherwise, we would have seen a warning symbol that reminds me to review and replace the existing asset with the latest version. So now I can get rid of my locally stored assets. I don't need them any longer because all of them are connected to my Dropbox. Next use case, I have opened an InDesign document which was created by an external partner with assets that are scattered on multiple systems. Some are in Dropbox, some are from Unsplash, one is in the Widen DAM, one is on my local machine, and one is an embedded image. Now my goal is to have them in only one source system, and that's it. In my case, the Pixelbox DAM. And as you can see, I made all files locally available. And now I'm going to start the add file process. The upload is automatically in progress and all assets are now available in the Pixelbox DAM, as you can see here. Now I'm going to check my files again, and I can see that my embedded image is available in my Pixelbox DAM. So I will relink it. And I'm going to relink all other files to my Pixelbox then. And as you can see, the Pixelbox logo is in front of my file name. We're good to go. So what have we done so far? We had a document with linked assets, and these assets are stored in various systems. We made them locally available, and we uploaded them into our target system. We have checked if some of the assets are already in my target system, and we are sure to have the latest versions of them. That was done in a minute. This is really a huge time saver, and it helps you to manage assets across various source systems and consolidate the whole stuff in one system. Let's say the home base. The next use case, let's say we want to use the linked assets with a low resolution. Here we go. Just click the relink button, select the rendition, and that's it. And last but not least, let's have a look on how to check the rights of your assets. Just click the Check Rights button, select the duration of your campaign, select the territory and the use of the material. Now you can see the status of each asset. This one here is partially available, and the reason why can be found in the detail. This asset is not registered yet. You can register assets by selecting an image and tap the Register button at the bottom of your details section. That's it. This triggers a workflow in the DRM system, and if the rights are configured, the Check Rights icon will turn into a green or yellow color. That depends on your campaign settings. So let's do a short wrap-up. What we have seen so far. We've seen how to link assets even if they are in various systems, how to identify assets in your connected system, how to move assets from one source system to another, how to upload assets from your local machine into a connected system via the CI Hub connector, how to move embedded assets into your connected system, how to switch between high-res and low-res files, how to use URL linking to the system of your choice, and how to check the digital rights of your assets. And all this was done within the CI Hub connector without leaving your Adobe application.
So I would like to show the CI Hub connector in a live demo. And if you have any questions during the presentation, just feel free to put them in the chat. So I have an InDesign document which is stored in a DAM system or in a Dropbox system. I can have a preview of the document, and these are the assets that are used in this document. So it's quite easy to check the status of all these assets. This works within seconds. I'm currently connected to Dropbox, and you can see by hovering that some of those files are locally not available, but I need them if I want to do a high-res production, a PDF output, or if I want to send it to the printer. So at the end, I have to relink all of these files, but this is really done in seconds because I know where these assets are coming from, where they are stored, and which version is the latest version of these assets. So I'm going to show it. This will take just a few seconds. I'm connected to Dropbox, so I say, okay, please link the files from Dropbox to my document. And the system will do this and make them locally available, as you can see here. So I'm switching to my Pixelbox system, do the check again. And you can see all those assets are available. Just relink the files. I want to have the original. I could choose a low resolution if I have to create a low res PDF for approval or something like that. But let's stick to the original. So the system automatically makes all assets locally available. We're done. And then have a look at these 3 files. They were placed from Unsplash. So I switched to the Unsplash system, which is a stock service provider, check the files again, and relink them. So the system connects to Unsplash, downloads the asset, and as you can see, they are now locally available. So in this case, I'm ready to produce a high-res file without moving images to the system, without downloading them manually, without switching between the browser, the DAM system, and my application, and organize all these files. So this is really done within seconds, and I'm ready to produce the file right now. And it's very easy if you say, okay, let's use all the information we have within the linked files. It could be the metadata. And let's have a look. I would say I would like to have this asset replaced by another one. I have seen this woman 1,000 times. I want to replace it. So I would like to look for an alternative image. So what I'm going to do is I select this image and do a similarity search within Getty Images. So the system connects to Getty, is doing a similarity search, and this is the result. So we have everything in place, so we could use these images. I can say, okay, I would like to have this one. Just click replace. And bring it into position. Here we go. And let's say I want to change the content of my metadata field. Use the content of the linked assets. Just take it and drop it into the target frame. So that's how it goes. It's quite easy, and if I take a look at the linked image, you can see that this one is now linked to Getty image, and it's also locally available. So that means I'm ready for production. This works as long as we are not deleting our files. So let's switch back to my Dropbox system where my document is stored. And let's say I want to create a version of this document. I will update the file. I'm using this document. Click on OK. And this document will be updated. Takes a few seconds. The preview is generated, and here we go. This is the new document. It's available to all the users of the DAM system. It's perfectly done. But at the end, I have to check for my assets that I made locally available. So let's see what happens if I delete them. I'll get rid of all the assets. And the production artist will open this document in InDesign. So he has the same problem, no links available, but as we already did, everything is in place. We can check these files, we can relink them. can go to the other systems, complete the files. We can go to Unsplash, reload the files, and we can go to Getty. And relink this file. And as you can see, again, everything is locally available and ready for production. So this is how it works with the CI Hub connector. It's working in InDesign, it's working in Photoshop, it's working in Illustrator, Adobe Premiere Pro, and in After Effects. So this is the way we want to have linked assets available, even if it's a URL or if it's the path directly to the local machine. It works in a perfect way. So at the end, that's it for now, and I would love to have any questions, if there are questions.
Hi, Gerd. Thank you very much. Yes, there are lots of questions coming through, actually. So we can just dive straight into those. Someone has asked, how often are there updates?
The updates are made automatically. So it could be every week, it could be every day, but the user are are not aware of these. This is all done in the backend.
Yeah, I answered already some questions about this. Yeah, we make every Sunday night in German time updates from the system, and if we have new functionalities, you see that directly in the panel. And there's nothing to do on the user side.
Great, thank you. Someone's asked, can CI Hub be used on a web server to check links to assets, both video and stills?
Yes, it can. So we have used it in, let's say, in Premiere Pro. If we're using stills, if we're using video, if you're using audio files, if you create a Premiere project and you have all the footage linked to this project, you can also use the CI Hub connector to upload and relink all the necessary files for a Premiere project. It's even working in Adobe After Effects. You can use stills, you can use videos, you can use audio files, everything. You can even use Illustrator files as a template for Adobe After Effects projects. If you work on an InDesign file via the CI Hub panel, it will automatically update your After Effects project. So yeah, that's doable.
Isn't that great?
Thank you. And also someone asked, can a rendition be created through the connector, or is there only those default values to choose from?
These are the default values that are set by the source system, but it could be different source systems, and it could be the case that they create different kinds of renditions, but we can work with all of them.
And the naming of that renditions is also came over the API from the system who is connected.
Good, thank you. Someone said, does this only work with Adobe CC?
Exactly. It works with the whole CC library. I think it's
yeah, but the main question was, I understood, is it only available for Adobe CC? No, we have also the same functionality in Microsoft 365.
oh, okay.
In Figma, in Sketch, and in Google Workspace. So you have a lot of applications where you can work with the CI Hub panel.
So it will work in PowerPoint, it works in Word, in Excel, and in Outlook. A lot of people are using the panel in Outlook because if they have to hand over assets via mail, they just choose a rendition. So they have a low-res file, and that's working perfect. It's working in the Google Workspace, in Google Slides, Google Docs, and in Google Sheets. And yeah, as Jörg said, it's working in Figma and in Sketch also.
And the availability for Adobe is Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, After Effects, Premiere Pro, and
InCopy.
InCopy.
Great. Next question. We are working with a huge SharePoint image library. We already stored there with keywords. Can CI Hub search for the keywords we have chosen in SharePoint?
Yes, we can. So the search works over the API, and the SharePoint system is already connected to CI Hub. So yes, we can use those keywords, existing keywords.
Thank you. And someone said, is licensing by end user or company?
Both of them is available. So if your company would love to buy a pool of licenses for their employees, this is one case, or you can buy it in a single license. You will find that information also on our webpage under ci-hub.com/pricing,
I think, yeah. So the single license is up to 3 seats per domain, and all above 3 seats would be a company license.
Good, thank you. Someone said, I work with game developers who generate massive 3D assets, which are multi-asset files, and it would be great to use something like this to link those assets to each other.
That depends on the application you're working with. Is it something which works in Adobe?
Which program are you using for that?
I'll wait for that response to come through.
Maybe that come more in a minute. So maybe we can take another question and come back.
Sure. Someone said, what are the top 3 benefits of the product?
So the top 3 benefits, I would say, is that you break the closed loop when you're working in a damp environment, and you open it to all the users. You always use the latest version of the image. You always ensure that you have metadata available. You always ensure that you have the digital rights available. You can work with low-res and high-res files, both is possible. And yeah, you don't need to store everything locally on your desktop until it comes to production. Otherwise, you can always work with renditions, with low-res files. And that's, I would say, the main thing.
This was more than 3, I would say. But maybe
Apologize.
For me, an important point is also that every user is always working with the approved and used content what he can have in his project. And it's very important that not only the users in the company use that approved and new content, pictures and text. So it's also important that your agencies are working around the globe, maybe in a big company, that they are also working with the approved and used content, and this is very important. And also important is that these agencies store their final layouts and documents back to that DAM system or cloud system that you can own the whole stuff of creativity in that systems.
Thank you. And then a slight follow-up to the earlier question. The same person said some proprietary programs, so an open API would be very useful.
Okay, an open API would be very useful. This is great. So everything what we do depends on open API, but it always depends on the source system, which should be connected, or the storage or whatever. But this is something I would like to discuss with Marian, maybe per mail or something like that, because there are some hurdles.
Of course, yeah, no problem. I'm sure you can follow up offline. Someone said when we link Getty to CI Hub and search and download images from there, is it possible that other team members see that there is a new image downloaded?
Yes, of course, because they see it in the CI Hub connector.
Okay.
It's always working. So that depends on how you organize your assets in your DAM system. If there is a newer asset, maybe downloaded from Getty, and it triggers an event, could be any event, or if you sort your assets by date, which is also doable. In the list view, you can sort by date. You see always the newest assets coming up, and you can always see where they are coming from.
Yeah.
So that's of course doable. Yeah.
And if you have it already in a file, in the InDesign file, you will see that automatically that there's a warning that there's a newer file available over the link panel and in the document too.
Thank you. This is the last question, I think. And it's, if we share templates of InDesign with other team members, is there a way to avoid overwriting them by mistake?
Mm-hmm. So this is something we should handle different. Please do not think in a way of a file storage. So if I overwrite a file in a storage, maybe on your local machine, you will overwrite it. What we are doing with the CI Hub connector is we check in a new version. So you have always access to the older version. If you want to avoid versioning, you just lock the asset. There is a feature where you can lock an asset if it's checked out, so no one can check in a newer version or no one can download it until it's opened again.
Great. Well, that was the last question. Did you have anything else to say before we finish?
I think that's it. If there are no questions.
Yeah, thank you both very much indeed. I'm sure the team would love to hear from any of you. If you'd like to follow up offline afterwards, there's a couple of email addresses there. Do reach out. And we hope to see many of you at our future events online and in person next year. So thanks, everybody. Bye now.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for joining.
Bye-bye.
Bye.